I can't tell you how many sales reps have pushed back and said, don't give me a PowerPoint. I don't use PowerPoints and sales decks. It's like, okay, well, then you basically cut the experience for your prospect in half. You will only give them what you can speak, right? And what you can discuss, but seeing it, they'll actually retain it much more. I know for me, I'm also a visual processor. I have to see, I do better when you show me a graph or you show me some kind of visual that reinforces what you're saying.
Here is your daily dose of the Ultimate Sales Machine coming to you from the new edition. Visit ultimatesalesmachine.com to get your copy or multiple copies. I am your host, Amanda Holmes, CEO of Chet Holmes International. What you're about to learn has assisted 250,000 businesses to generate billions of dollars, working faster, better, smarter.
Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about how to double the attention and retention of your prospects when presenting so that you can double, even triple your sales conversions. It makes a huge difference. So, as we always do, let's do our bow into the dojo. We're closing all the other doors of all the other things happening in the world and just stepping into this one to be present and focused and clear so that you can absorb all the information to be able to implement it. So, welcome to the dojo. Today, we're going to talk about visuals, right? Chapter 8. And this week, we're going to implement. I'm going to challenge you over this next week. If the following week, you can come back with something to present. So it's going to be fun. So think about that as I show you some of the slides today. And you'll actually get a chance to do some presenting if you like. I know that Craig will take us up on the challenge, and I wonder if anybody else will be challenged enough to want to show it here so you don't have to practice it on your prospects. You can practice it in here in a loving dojo environment. So our homework last week was to take one step towards that progress of the ultimate sales machine. I'm curious, did anybody have a win from their one step?
Can I share one?
Sure.
I have been dream 100ing a person for like 2.5 years that we met way back in Boston. Like before I don't even know if I even really worked for CHI at that point yet, but I came to my first event and finally won a contract to do sales training and our audit, core story audit for their company in Jamaica
Woo!
after 2.5 years. So yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, wow. For every person that says, how long should I follow up? Well, just keep in mind that Troy just spent 2 years following up with this
Yeah.
one, which is not normal for our sales cycle. It's just
No,
like,
no, this one
not a
here
normal
was
sales cycle.
entertaining, but no, I'm just so grateful. But pig-headed determination and discipline was what got us there. So it's
Woo!
good.
I love that. Okay, keeping in mind, what's the step that I can take over this next week as I'm going through all of these effective rules for presenting? Okay, we're going to do, here's the perfect chance to interact. Let's launch a poll. So I'm just curious for everybody, how effective are you at presenting to a prospect in a way that grabs their attention and keeps them engaged? Go ahead and write on a scale from 1 to 10. Let me share what it is. How effective are you at presenting to a prospect in a way that grabs their attention and keeps them engaged on a scale from 1 to 10? Okay. Wow. So I'd say we're probably at a 7. It's a strong numbers in the group. I love that. Let's keep going then. So there are 3 modes of communication: your words, your tone of voice, and your body language. And prospects are subconsciously processing these cues all at once. I thought this was a great picture of, obviously, there's a huge difference between even just body language here. Now, the first rule for effective presenting is to be confident, but not obnoxious. So what do you do to get in a state where when you're in front of a crowd, in front of a room full of executives, in front of a prospect, you are present, you are confident? There are many different ways to get into different states. Troy's going to share one, and I'm going to share a few as well. So for me, I have a background in music. So I was a trained vocalist for over a decade, a couple of decades now, actually. So when my voice feels like I can't catch my breath because I'm nervous or I feel shaky, I do these vocal exercises. So I'm going to teach you guys some vocal exercises to be able to use so that your tone of voice comes through much more clearly. So the first is lip buzzing. So the point of this process is to take you from, if you're talking from your nose versus you're talking from your throat or even the top of your chest, it's to speak from your right below your belly button. It's your diaphragm, it's your core, and that's where you project from. So lip buzzing helps you project from right below your belly button. So what I want you to try is to buzz your lips. So let's try a so as you're doing it, you can even sing a song. So some of you I saw had some hard times keeping that going, and others couldn't do it at all, and some of you could. So for me, if I were doing this exercise, I would put my hands right below my belly button, and you can feel that part of your body engaging. And I would sing like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So everybody, if you could just try again, let's see if you can do the lip buzzing. And the next one is tongue trills. If you can't do the lip buzzing, maybe you can roll your tongue. So this is very common in other languages as well. So tongue is. So for those of you that couldn't do the lip buzzing, maybe you can do the tongue trills. It's the same thing for vocalists. They'll sing along with that to help them hit notes that they weren't able to do before because it engages the core muscles. So if I were singing Twinkle, and you can feel the engaging of your core muscles, which go away completely when you start to get more panicked or stressed or worried. Anybody feel like you have a question about this or think it's hilarious that you weren't able to do either of them or surprised that you could do both? Just curious.
I would love to do the tongue thing, but I just can't get that to work. It sounds, if I do it too loud, I feel like someone's going to run downstairs and try to do the Heimlich on me.
How'd you fare, Carlos? I could see you kind of doing a little bit.
I think I'm better with the tongue trills than the lip buzzing. I wasn't sure what the lip buzzing was all about.
Okay. Karen, how did you do? I couldn't quite see. I saw that you were somewhat.
I struggled at first, but the more I was practicing, I got it.
All right, great. Well, anytime that you're feeling like you're losing your breath, which very often when people are going into public settings and trying to speak for multiple people, it happens very often. Now that's a quick little trick that you can use. There's also a squatting one, which is similar to what this man is doing in the picture, where you squat down and it forces you to use your diaphragm, your core. So if you lose your voice, here's 3 simple ways to gain it back and help you build a little bit more of that confidence. Troy has a really hilarious story for you. Troy, can you share the experience that you had with your positive affirmations?
Yeah, Craig's going to love this because I don't think he's even heard this one. So I had a client that I really wanted to sell to that told me for, I think, 4 years that he would never buy from us. But he was going to let me do a quote again and every year just to make me feel good about it. He liked me as a person, just not, he didn't like our John Deere product at the time. So he let me do another quote, and it was for about, I think, $8.2 million worth of equipment. And so I wrote out the contract as I always do. I made the quote, I made the contract, the invoice, ready to sign, total intention of being, future pace, if you will, that I'd won it. Was driving out to his place and I phoned him and I said, "Hey Ken, it's Troy calling. Just want you to know I'm going to be at your place in about 22 minutes and I look forward to seeing you." And most people would end the call there, but me, I went full Tony Robbins training and I started every day and every way I'm getting stronger. And I start screaming at my truck to talk about it. And then I'm repeating this and I'm like, "I am so happy and grateful that I just sold Ken all of this equipment for $8.2 million. And I'm just cheering it on. And I'm yelling and I'm giving this, so many positive affirmation. And all of a sudden my truck says, it goes, I'm sorry, your voicemail is full now, or this message is full. Press 1 to re-record or 2 to send. Well, what if you just didn't do neither? I hit just end the call. So there's no chance now, right? And now what do? Do you just slam on the brakes, jump out and hide in the ditch and look for water and drown yourself? Or, because I'm like so scared, but I get there and I'd already kind of forgotten about it in a sense. I went through, I showed him the quote and I did page by page and I'm going through everything and I'm looking at it and I'm so excited about it. But at the same time, I kind of already know I'm not going to win because I've done it like so many times. And he goes, looks at me, goes, "Okay, I'm going to do the deal." And I'm like, excuse me? He goes, yeah, anybody who has that much confidence and is screaming into the phone with that much authority, I know I'm going to get the best service in the whole entire world. And the blood, I don't know if you've ever felt blood come out of your skin before, but from being so red, but I've literally felt like my face was so hot with embarrassment and but excitement. I don't know how to contain myself. And I even phoned my boss at the time and I'm like, I did the deal with Ken. He goes, no, you didn't. And he thinks I'm like totally punking him, right? And but I never did tell him why until like years later. But yeah, so I'm literally just so you know, words and feeling and future pacing was just my thing, and just at the top of my lungs screamed at this guy. And it worked. But because of that embarrassment, I got like so many millions of dollars of sales after the fact in from people that trusted him. Very tall, very astute guy, always made me intimidated. But dang, affirmations crushed that misconception, if you will.
So you left more of those voicemails on other people?
I gotta be honest, man, that one was really hard. If there was a PTSD moment, that's one of them.
Oh my God, I love it. That's so good. A great positive affirmation gone wrong and good all at the same time. Okay, so the second tip for effective presenting, focusing on them, not you. I can't tell you how many times in my childhood my father repeated this quote over and over and over again. Maturity is when all your mirrors turn into windows. Whenever we'd have a selfish moment or we wouldn't acknowledge somebody, my father would say, wow, you make a really good barn door. It's a very strange thing. It's all about the windows, how to care and look at others. So if you make it about you, you're really robbing the audience of the opportunity to transform. So meeting them where they're at. It's shocking how often we get so hung up in what we're presenting that we miss who's in the audience. I had a meeting actually just recently where a gentleman hopped on the call and I could tell there was just something else going on. He looked very stressed and upset. And I just acknowledged and said, you look like you're a little bit all over the place. Is there something going on? Is everything okay? And just acknowledging where he was at, he took a deep breath. He told me what was on his mind. Something had just happened right before we got on the call. I asked him if he wanted to go and we could reschedule. And he said, no, it's okay. And he went from being completely uninterested to fully present with me, just acknowledging where he was at. It's the same thing with an audience. I can't tell you how many times I've had a group that's maybe too boisterous and I had to reel them in to show that I was taking control of this event. I can remember a Vistage group recently that just kept challenging me on every data point. And I said, listen, you're happy to come up to me afterwards and challenge the data points. I have no problem. This is not the place to do it because I have way more to give you. And it's not about challenging whether I'm right or wrong. It's about absorbing what you're learning and getting a result from it. So acknowledging the group and seeing where they're at is critical to be able to help to actually have an effective presentation. So the more that you can practice and the more you can get used to whatever you're presenting, then you can actually focus on who's in the audience, acknowledging them, working with them. That's where the true art of presenting really comes from. Number 3, keep it simple, stupid. I'm sure we've heard that a million times. The next time you have a presentation or you're pitching or you're meeting with a prospect, tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them what you told them, right? It's very simple, and yet so often, I can't tell you how many times I don't see this in meetings. And we should tell them what to expect. It makes it easier and you get buy-in too. So I'm going to give you an example of one of our clients from last year. They're a stem cell clinic, one of the world-renowned, the Regenerative Medicine Institute. So their stadium pitch titles, one of them was, "We Get It, Growing Old Sucks. Discover the 5 deadly downsides of aging and how you can reverse them." Another one of them was, "The 6 sinister ways aging is robbing you blind." Now, their lead up to here's what we're going to talk about today was this. Imagine a world where we don't just age, instead we age backwards. Today you're going to discover the 5 sinister ways aging is robbing you blind, cutting edge scientific solutions to slow down, even reverse your aging process, the exclusive longevity secrets of the rich and powerful to reduce risk of early death up to 56%, and a step-by-step master plan to help you seize back a decade of healthy, youthful living. Now, this is a marked difference between this versus Hi, I've come here today to pitch you. I'm going to talk to you about why we're the best. I'm going to talk to you about why we're different from the rest. I'm going to get to tell you how amazing I am, right? Completely night and day different. So what can we do to educate them on the call and lead with that? Here's what we're going to cover so that they're sitting there in anticipation and excitement about what you're about to show them rather than just, I'm here to pitch you. So step number 4 for effective presenting, keep it fast paced. Pop quiz. How many images do you think the eyes can process in a single glance? Anybody have an answer to that?
Like 100?
Okay.
Or in a minute or a second?
In a single glance.
Ooh.
Is process and process with retainment different?
Just process.
Probably 1,000.
Yeah, so this came straight from the book, right? And the picture of a cityscape at night, how many different images can you see and process? It could be millions, right? If you think about all of the skyscrapers and every little light in every skyscraper. So all of that to say that if you stimulate the eyes, it helps because the brain can absorb so much more than just the words in our mouth. And if you fail to give them that visual, then the brain tunes you out. So the brain can take in information at 400 to 500 words per minute, and yet people speak only at 125. And we think about how we learn. We retain 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% if we see it and hear it, right? So it comes back to that idea of when you are pitching, when you are educating, when you are having sales conversations, if you have something visual to show them, it doubles the amount of attention that you can grab from a prospect. 70% of what we discuss, 80% of what we experience, 95% of what we share, right? So that visual can be so compelling. And here, let me give you another example. So the 6 sinister ways that aging is robbing you blind. Here's the next slide to that. Nobody wants to get old. As we grow older, we have to face an escalating level of disregard, disrespect, and marginalization, not to mention confronting ever increasing physical, cognitive, and emotional frailties. We are afraid of growing old. Many of you have probably heard of FOMO, but have you heard of FOGO? 87% of Americans have fear of growing old. And yet that doesn't stop us from wanting to live forever. And the good news is we're actually living longer. So the global life expectancy from 1960 to 2019 has increased by 19 years. It's mostly because of third world countries and how they've been able to improve medical care in third world countries. But the downside is that we're spending 50% of it sicker. So 50% of our lives we live in good health, 38% are in moderate health, and 12% of it is in poor health, which means that for the average person, 9 years of your life you are spending dying. So we're sicker longer than ever before. Now I will pause. The last 4 slides I showed you in less than 2 minutes. See how fast-paced that was? See how engaging it was? Notice how there were graphics and interesting, intriguing market data, right? How can we keep our prospects engaged quickly with visuals? Step number 5, using wow facts and statistics, right? We've been talking about this for a while. You want them to say, wow, I didn't know that. So going back to the 6 ways aging is robbing you blind, I'm going to keep using this example just to keep reiterating. The first one is aging costs you your looks. 79% of people don't want to look in the mirror because they are unhappy with how they look. Now, if I was presenting it to one person, I'd probably say, does that surprise you, or you think that that's reasonable? And you hear, they say, oh, that does actually surprise me. It's a little bit higher than I would have anticipated. Oh, how interesting. And then I go back into globally, how do we cope with it? Well, we spend $46 billion on cosmetic surgery just last year, and half of that came from just America. Holy cow. How vain can we really be? The third thing costing you is your intimacy. Here's an interesting statistic for you all. 72% of aging women want to continue to enjoy sex as they age. Unfortunately, more than half of men between the ages of 40 to 70 experience difficulty in the bedroom. So I am educating on all the pain points of aging that maybe somebody hadn't even known that they might need help with, that stem cells can help with. Again, getting to the people that didn't even know that they needed your help, right? This is where that education comes in. So what are some other things? Can you make them laugh, right? Here's resting rich face. Women that are in their 40s spend anywhere between $68,000 to $199,000 annually to get that rich face. 40 men in their 40s spend anywhere between $58,000 to $62,000 annually. I will tell you that we put this in their education because it helped to reset the buying criteria, because so many people think, oh, well, stem cells are so expensive. Well, in comparison to how much people are spending on plastic surgery, it's a fraction of what you spend.
Amanda,
Yeah.
hey, so just a quick question. If we're given a keynote, are you saying, because I think the number was like people retain 70% of what they see and hear, or is it 50%? Doesn't
50%.
matter. But the
Yeah.
point is, if we're given a keynote, if we're delivering the message verbally, do we also want to put the script, not the script, but, slides up with the messaging?
Some of it, yes.
Okay.
We
Thank
make
you.
the whole story so that it is very much where you're reading so much of it. But you definitely want to have the hardest hitting points, right? You notice how the hardest hitting points are what's on the screen. I'm going to talk more to that too, Tim, as we go through. So what am I also covering as I'm going through this? I'm covering the core story framework back from chapter 4, right? I talked with global pains that catch the attention of everybody, whether they were thinking about stem cells or not. If I'm talking about life expectancy and how long you live, it's interesting. Huh, I didn't really know that. Then we start talking about target pains, what's really hurting them, okay? Well, your intimacy, your looks, your independence, your mental acuity, all of these things, you probably don't even know how bad they are and how one thing could actually solve them. Oh, please tell me. Actually, it's two things that can solve them. So you've built it up enough for them wanting to know what the solution is, whether they were thinking about it or not. Then we want to reset the buying criteria so that you are the only logical conclusion, so that by the time that you actually pitch, they're already bought in because you've led them through this brilliantly orchestrated education. So I'm going to keep going on this example, just giving you little snippets of their core story. So there are two scientifically proven ways to increase your health span. And health span is the length of time you get to enjoy a healthy body and mind. So the first one is maintaining a healthy lifestyle, choosing a healthy diet, exercising regularly, eliminating stress, getting plenty of high quality sleep. All of these things help us to have an increased health span, obviously. However, it's very hard for many to actually do these steps. I mean, obesity has grown by 170% over the last 30 years. Cancer has grown 2 times over the last 30 years, right? We're seeing all of these problems because we're not able to maintain that healthy lifestyle. So what's the second thing you can do to increase your health span? Address the root cause of aging, which actually happens at a cellular level. And modern science has come to a point where we can reverse what is happening to the deterioration of our cells on a cellular level. That's what stem cell treatments actually do. It helps regenerate your body at a cellular level so that you can reverse the chances of you getting chronic illness. You can reverse the chances of you getting arthritis. You can reverse pains that you already have in your body, problems that you have with your organs. And it's not by operation. You're teaching your body to regenerate. It's utterly remarkable. I mean, they're reversing Alzheimer's. They're helping people live longer, healthier lives. So what are the 5 exclusive longevity secrets of the rich and powerful? We want to reduce the risk of early death up to 56%, right?
Hey, Amanda, it's Craig. The last
Yeah.
slide, would that be more of a targeted pain versus the global? Or like versus
This one?
the core story, like, or the stadium pitch?
This one?
Yeah,
This is actually the header for the solutions portion.
got it.
Yeah. It's actually positive. So now we're telling them we've put you in pain, pain, pain with the 6 deadly ways that aging is robbing you blind. There's 2 solutions. One is a healthy diet, and the other one is actually using your stem cells to regenerate on a cellular level. And then let me tell you how to actually move forward in that process, because it's a very complex one. So let me give you the 5 steps. So then as you're presenting, if you can tell stories, it increases recall up to 26%. And as we know, people love stories. I think we actually, in their core story, put a story of Troy and his kids. Troy, do you want to share what you said about Luke and Everett?
Yeah, because I went to this clinic. I'm a patient of theirs. And what I said then after learning so much about this part, now getting them to store their own stem cells so that they can have a lot better lifestyle longer. So having all of this education changed exactly what I would teach them, which will create new paradigms for years to come.
Yeah, I love how you had said that in their life insurance policy, you're mandated when they turn
Yes.
21 that they have to get their stem cells banked and
Yeah.
use their life insurance
Exactly.
policy to do so. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. So here's another example of telling stories. So most people are aging faster than they should. It's actually called rapid aging syndrome. And it's important to know how fast you're aging so you can intercede and prevent it. Older adults with accelerated biological age, there's a difference between biological and chronological. It means that they develop heart disease and diabetes and cancer faster. They experience cognitive decline faster. They develop disabilities faster. They have higher mortality rates. So how do we decrease our chronological age? Well, we have to find out what it is. And you never know what your biomarkers are going to say about you. Here's a case study. Dana, she was a fit, healthy mother of 2 in her mid-30s. And when we looked at her chronological age, we found that she was aging at a rate 4 times faster than women at a similar age. So she started getting these stem cell treatments. And over the last year, it says that she's actually younger than when she first started doing the treatments based on her biology. And luckily for her children, if she continues, it's suggested that she could actually live to 120 years old if she continues what she's doing. So pretty fascinating, right? And we're just telling a story to make it more relatable. So where in your business, in your sales process, do you tell a concept that could be better understood if you made it personalized with someone's story? So I would mark that as a point. Find case study of a client or find case study of horror story of someone that didn't use what we do, right? The more you tell that story, the more it's ingrained. So your presentation should be curiosity driven. Notice how I keep just trying to make it more and more engaging with every step. And another one, this is NLP technique, is creating what we call open loops, right? So what I'm about to show you is something you probably have never thought of, but it will completely change the way you thought about medicine. Or make sure you stay and pay attention because what I'm about to show you will blow your mind. Or, I have 4 more things to cover about blank, right? So you're constantly foreshadowing what's about to come. Number 8, we want to think of each headline as valuable real estate. Notice how if they just caught the title, it would keep them engaged to want to hear what you have to say. So most people are aging faster than they should. Here's another title. A recent epigenetic study reveals shocking results. It's as if every title within that PowerPoint is giving like a newsworthy topic. So what can we do to have an engaging title, just a few bullet points, and then that picture, because as we know, right, the brain retains far more images than just the words. So what is the image that can reinforce what you're saying on the page? And it makes a dramatic difference. Obviously, this guy looks very, very interested. What they had before was this picture of a red dot and a blue dot, and they looked very close. And it's this groundbreaking study where for the first time ever in scientific history, they were able to prove on a cellular level that our cells could actually decrease in age because they are always aging. But this study showed that once they got stem cell treatments, the length of our biomarker, the ability to reproduce at a rapid rate, all of these things showed that we actually got younger, which was a phenomena in science. But for them, they had a diagram of like something that you get out of a math book that you wish you'd never opened, and it was just a red dot next to a blue dot. So we changed it for this guy's face looking like, oh my God, a scientific study. So it makes a difference on the pictures. The 8 rules for effective presenting. Number 1, be confident, not obnoxious. Focus on them, not you. Keep it simple, stupid, right? KISS. Keep it fast paced. We want to keep them engaged and entertained. Make sure you write this down. Take a picture if you need, right? You should be prompting them to engage. Use wow facts and statistics that they probably had never heard of. Build in opportunities for stories so it hits the heart and they remember. 7, be curiosity driven. Make sure that that presentation leads you to the next step so they can't wait for the next thing that's coming. Number 8, each headline is valuable real estate. It shouldn't have the same headline if you're saying market data. So the first slide says market data, the second slide says market data, the third slide says market data. You're wasting your valuable real estate. It should change with every piece of whichever slide has something new and interesting. So those are the 8. I'm going to pause here. Are there more questions? Are you thinking about how you're presenting and going, Amanda, this doesn't make sense, or I just got a light bulb about what I'm doing that I need to improve? What are your thoughts here?
I would say this is a really good reminder for me because I can just fine tune some of the things here. I've been privileged to be coached on a lot of this stuff over the years, but this is really, really good because I think for those of us who do this to a point, I think the more we fine tune it and the more we adjust it, the more effective we'll become.
What about for you, Tim? Are you still thinking about your keynote? Did I answer what you were asking?
Oh, no, for sure you did. That struck me, that stat about what we retain versus seeing, and hearing, et cetera. The thought occurred to me, which, through our core story, we have provided. I usually leave all the messaging up on the slides on the screen, but I just wanted to get to be reinforced, to reinforce that point that, if people are hearing it from me, but also seeing it or reading it off the slide, then for sure, they're going to retain more.
And sometimes it feels, I can't tell you how many sales reps have pushed back and said, don't give me a PowerPoint. I don't use PowerPoints and sales decks. It's like, okay, well, then you basically cut the experience for your prospect in half. You will only give them what you can speak, right? And what you can discuss, but seeing it, they'll actually retain it much more. I know for me, I'm also a visual processor. I have to see, I do better when you show me a graph or you show me some kind of visual that reinforces what you're saying.
If I could add to that, Amanda, I was talking to you about this before, and I think it was actually your dad that taught me this, but most salespeople will deliver a presentation or a quote in a bundle of paper, right? If you have 5 or 10 or 20, 30, 40 pages. And what I would do differently was I stopped stapling, and I prohibited anybody that worked with me to do that. And I'd hand them each a piece of paper, one at a time at the boardroom. And I would say, now initial the bottom. Now we're down that piece of paper. And it's like it makes them so they can't just look to that back bottom corner. And Tim, I'm looking at you with this one, because if they just go to the bottom corner to see how much their monthly contribution is or their cost for whatever you're doing, they just look at that number and they make a decision whether or not they're going to listen to you for the rest of it. But if you go page by page by page by page, I would say it's got to be 70% more wins for me doing it that method versus handing them a whole bundle. So keeping it simple was just something that I was reading there and thinking of that.
That's a great point.
It's utterly brilliant. Troy would have like a 70-page proposal. Yeah. He would make the guy sign every single page of 70. Talk about getting somebody to say yes, 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 right? You get them continuing to say yes when you're like price, they just have to say yes because they've said yes 70 times for that one time when they're going to say yes.
And my boss was like, you are crazy. Like, this takes too long. I'm like, whatever, it's working.
Troy, Amanda, that's exactly how I got sucked into buying a $4,000 vacuum.
I bet you they have a great sales training process. Yeah. Was that Kirby?
No, it's called Ratello.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. My father used to sell Kirby vacuums, and that's where he first learned a lot of the sales training. There was one time when it was a whole room full of, they were having like a baby shower or something. And they were like, sorry, we have a party going on right now. And he's like, oh, I'll be the life of the party. Let me in. And any other person that's selling a vacuum would have been like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll leave. Bye. He managed to get in front of a whole room, did this whole showing, and was very entertaining about it, and sold like, he sold out the room, basically. Highly entertaining. All right. So what is one action step that you can take from this week to next week to progress your sales machine? Let's think about it. Let's talk about it. And how many of you could actually be challenged that between this week and next week, you can take something that you can present in less than 5 minutes? And when we do our breakout sessions, you'd be willing to put something up, share it so that you can get feedback. That would be bonus if you can make that happen.
Do
Yeah,
we need
go
to
ahead,
use our
Jim.
PowerPoint presentation?
You can do whatever you want.
I will, Amanda.
All right. Okay, who else? Let's think, and you can write it in the chat. You can raise your hand. What are we going to do between this week to next week to move the ball forward on your ultimate sales machine? I'll give you 60 seconds. Let's think about it for 60 seconds. I'll set a timer, then we'll bring up and share.
Yeah, Craig, if I was you, just looking at your note there, just give people little shocking statistics. They don't want to hear that they have more work to do or more things to think about. They just need to know that you know what they know.
So last week, after the dojo, it was about an hour and a half later. And some of the activities that I did earlier in that week that I was getting no results with, I ended up getting 11 new connections on LinkedIn. And then I sent them, literally, I could share my screen. I sent them a data point about 61.3% of companies do not meet their annual original forecast numbers. And I had all 11 of them responded and in some way, shape, or form. And then I was able to ask them if they wanted a free resource where they could help diagnose some of the hidden deficiencies in their commercialization process. And 4 out of the 11 said yes.
Look at that. You were looking so frustrated. You got a break. I love that.
But he went from rushing in to tell them what he was going to do for them, which honestly, I think, like we said on the call, makes it feel like they're going to have another thing to do, into, hey, this guy could actually solve my problem.
Yeah, that's happened yet as a contract or anything, but at least they got the bridge audit document. And if they start reading through it, they're going to see, oh my gosh, we definitely have deficiencies, but we don't know where to find them.
So keep doing it. Make sure there's a call to action so they have a way of leaning forward.
It's amazing. I'm seeing a lot or hearing a lot about educational marketing, but it's not educational marketing the way you do it. It's the same old, same old. They're calling it educational marketing, but it isn't. Have you seen a proliferation of that?
Thank you for pointing that out.
What do you think they're missing, Tim?
Well, they're certainly missing the data, which backs it up. But if you're just telling people stuff without the data, there's no stake behind the sizzle.
Right.
My estimation.
Yeah, I think people, it's become a coined term that people think that they know about, but they're not really doing anything different than what they were before. It's just a little bit of a different variation.
Okay, I've heard from Julie and I'll reach out to her too. And Carlos, for the rest of you, you don't have any action step for this week to next week. Go ahead and write it in the meeting group chat, or if you just want to send it to me personally, you can in the chat. I want to hear what else is everyone going to do. Julie, you said you wanted to update your sales presentation. Craig, we heard from Tim. You said you might do some presenting for us next week, which I look forward to. It's great. Carlos, you want to update us?
I'd like to present my stuff that I'm going to be updating as well. I've kind of tweaked a couple of the core stories with some statistics, so I'd be up for going up next week.
Great. Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Good job.
Hey, Samuel, you want to share?
I'll just say here, I like the rules for effective presenting. And when it comes to keep it simple, stupid, and the rule 2 and rule 3, how I could use that together for my presentation.
Great. What are you doing for a presentation right now? Who's your ideal prospect?
Right now, it's going to be in the commercial real estate side. So ideal prospect would be business owners.
Okay. And I remember you sharing a stadium pitch. How is that coming along? Where are you at with that?
It's been coming along. I've been modifying it when it comes to the different types of businesses, because there'll be different types of information and marketing with that. So just I have to change it for that business owner, for their needs, because there's just various different ones that I meet throughout the day.
Yeah. How are you seeing the response?
They like it. Actually, they're really intrigued. So I'm just continuing that communication with them and see if there's opportunity and that
Great.
interest. So it's just, I think it's the other part too, keeping track of all my data on my notes.
So you talk about it, you don't present it, huh?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by that? Talk and present?
Like you tell them the data, you don't show them. There's no like presentation or a one sheet or in an email or.
Yeah. So that's the other part, that I do talk about it in meetings, but I was thinking here on this chapter how to add it professionally.
Yeah, love it. Okay, great. Well, I look forward to hearing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Whether you show it next week or you talk through it next week, either way, it'd be very interesting to see what you're talking about. Anybody else want to add?
Well, this is Greg. I don't mean to stay silent, but I primarily am there. I support a couple people on our team, so I don't really do the presentation. So I stayed silent today, but I listened intently.
Hey, I have a question, Greg. Because this is what I was just gonna share, is practicing your presentation with already warm clients or with your own internal staff to see how it sounds and feels to them if it's gravitating, because those are your best critics. Could you do that with some of your team then?
Sure.
Right? That always works good. Amanda taught me that, is to be presenting it to people already that already know, like, and trust you. And those are the people that will usually give you the best feedback. So if we could offer our teams to do that too, that would be huge. Even presenting into the Facebook group, you could do a video or live and just put it in there. It'd be so much fun to have you do it. Tim, you could do that with one of your videos, is put that in there. Yours is very good. You could do something into the Facebook group or something like that as well too, and get feedback from everybody else.
Okay, thank you.
And also that step between this week to next week, it doesn't have to do with presenting. Every week we've talked about a new topic. It could be what you're going to do. You're going to reel back in your time management because it's now gone awry, right? It's been 3 months. You're going to be better about your meetings. You're going to make sure you put an agenda out because you want to tell them what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them what you told them. It could be something that we haven't covered at all, and you just know you have to get it done. So I'm completely open to whatever action step you want to take. Okay, Craig.
One of the things I need to work on is stop thanking people for their time, because it definitely puts them at a higher, it lowers my value right up front. That's one of the things I need to keep working on, because I have not mastered that yet.
You must have read The Ultimate Sales Machine.
It's a hard habit to break.
It's a hard one to break. Yeah.
What are you putting in replace of it?
Yeah, I say, folks, you are about to be really fortunate in talking about, blah, 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 whatever we talk about, right? So I tell them right up front, you're about to embark on your time today. It's going to be worth every penny, right? And it's free or something like that, right? So what I'm doing is I'm bringing excitement in, and I've done this a few times, and it's just not my normal pattern yet, but I replace it with something exciting, so that I don't have to apologize and lower my importance for them to be on the call.
Another thing you could consider is, instead, every time you feel like saying thank you, you would say, I want to congratulate you for taking the moment to improve yourself, to question what you already have, to make sure that you're taking another step to lower your cost, to improve your productivity, right? Whatever you are doing with this meeting. So congratulating them. Congratulate yourself for being here. All right. Such a pleasure, everyone. Bow out of the dojo and enjoy the rest of your week. Looking forward to seeing what you present next week. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Make sure to get your copy or copies at theultimatesalesmachine.com. There's a lot of special bonuses that you can't get going to Amazon, so make sure you check it out at ultimatesalesmachine.com.